What's up, and welcome to Side Money Stories, the podcast where we talk about all things side jobs, side hustles, and making money outside the 9-to-5.
Whether you're flipping items online, freelancing after work, building a small business, or just thinking about starting something on the side, this is the place for real stories, real strategies, and real lessons from people actually doing it.
Every episode, we dive into how people get started, what's working, what's not, and what it really takes to turn extra time into extra income.
So if you're ready to level up your hustle and start writing your own side money story, let's get into it.
Welcome to the second episode of Side Money Stories. I'm Lucy Gray.
I'm Amanda Kenny. On today's episode, we have a special guest, Trent Hadaway. Welcome to Side Money Stories.
Oh, well, thank you.
Mr. Hadaway, we just wanted to start off by saying thank you so much for giving us your time. We really appreciate it. And I think we should just start off with you giving us a brief explanation about who you are and what you do.
Okay. I am an entrepreneur, been in building business for the last 30 years, and even some as in my teens and 20s. So this has just been a life journey of mine of building businesses. And so currently I run a business that operates kind of around the Midwest, Southeast USA. And we have about 500 employees, a little more than that. And yeah, that's a little bit about me.
That sounds amazing. So our first question for you is, in your own opinion, how do employees having side hustles on the side impact the workplace?
Interesting. First I would need to understand, when you say side hustle, are you speaking about, first of all, what type of employee? Is this somebody that is more of a labor type of employee or, on the clock? Or is this somebody that's more in management? What kind of employee? And then number two, are you talking about active side hustles or passive? Passive maybe meaning own some rental properties, things like that. So, I need a little context.
Okay, totally understandable. When we're talking about employees, we're just kind of saying people who kind of work for you, whatever their job title is, just if they're working for you or with you at the workplace. Do you think them actively working on a side hustle and actively having two jobs at once kind of do you think that impacts their working at the place you are?
So I'll speak in terms of, if it is somebody that is working for me in a capacity of as an hourly employee, they're very task oriented, whether it be labor or whether it be office, very task, and they leave my job and they go work somewhere else. That has less impact outside of their fatigue or whatever. That has very less impact. But if you're talking about somebody that is a manager and basically I employ them to use their mind and their thoughts, and they are actively pursuing another business that kind of flows in and out of their day, carries two phones, one phone for the side hustle, one for the business. That is a very direct impact on the business and what I would be paying for and how we transact as I employ that.
So would you say there's more positive or negative effects?
I would lean towards, in the latter case, more negative. It's hard to keep your mind engaged in your active job when you're the sole person responsible for your passive side hustle. It'll tend to take precedent, and so you're losing efficiency, you're losing ideas, you're losing people's focus. So it definitely has a impact on the business negatively.
So going off of that question, do you have any experiences within your workplace from an employee that you've encountered, and how did you deal with the situation?
Yeah, I've had several. And I've always tried to tell my employees, for you to engage in things outside of work, as long as they're passive in nature, they don't demand your time while you're working for me. They don't demand your thoughts. I don't have problems with those. But I had one come up recently, an employee and manager who ran several divisions, didn't, you know, was remote from our corporate office, so I didn't see him regularly. He was building a business on the side, renting equipment. And I remember addressing it with him. I took him to dinner one night. I very specifically said, this is going to alter your career here because it's hard for me to advance you knowing you're building a business. I see you carry two phones at work. I have a hard time believing you're not on the phone managing your private side hustle. At the same time, you're supposed to be managing my affairs. And I think over time, after about a year and a half, I think it finally did come to a place where he couldn't do his job effectively for us. And so he parted ways with us.
Gotcha.
Many others. Many others. I mean, people run landscape companies on the side, but they're usually doing those on the weekends and they're not really interfering with our, Monday through Friday work. So I've had different degrees of this, and I do think there's a scary trend in this culture today that says I can take a salary and benefits from a company and I can go develop things that I am really passionate about and give my mental capacity to these other things and develop a business while somebody else is paying for my benefits and my salary. And it's the 80-20 rule. They tend to take 80% of their income from their corporation they work for and only 20% from their side hustle, but they jeopardize the 80% because of how much time they give to their side hustle. So it is a scary trend I see right now.
Okay. That's understandable. So what are your thoughts on like college students having side hustles?
College students, meaning while they are attending college or clarify that for me.
Yeah, like students like who are attending college having side hustles and planning to go into the workforce while also having a side hustle that they started before.
I mean, like I say, I'm a fan of entrepreneurship. I'm a fan of what capitalism does to our society and how it gives people upward mobility. And so I'm a big fan of while you're in college, I think it's a great idea to try many things, get experience in making money while you're going to school. I think those are great ideas. But at some point, when you commit to a career or you commit to a serious high level of income from a corporation, I do think you have to lay some things aside and commit to that job. I think that you're doing them an injustice. You're really doing yourself an injustice. But because if you want your side hustle to become a full business opportunity for you, I'm all for it. I would highly encourage it. But usually these things they can't really meet that level of income. So you got to be careful. A little extra income isn't worth a long career and a lot of advancements in your career.
So based on your experience, do you think side hustles or like side jobs, are they becoming like a more prominent thing for young professionals, or do you think they'll mainly focus on like slowly in their career?
I think it seems like about every 7 years there's a new generational trend. Some very good, some not so good. So I don't know. I think when I think of this trend of the hustle that's going on, I think it speaks to some levels of commitment people have. My parents, they worked for the same company their entire life. That was kind of the trend of the kids that were born, I guess, in the 50s. They were committed to the corporation. And in my generation, We not so much. We were more entrepreneurs. So many of my friends just went out and started businesses on their own. So I don't know where this trend goes. Does this trend lead to really just lack of serious interest in career, or does it lead to entrepreneurship? I don't know. And so I guess I'm a little confused at what what the side hustle is intended to do for an individual.
So, from our experience doing this podcast and talking to people, side hustles are just for people to kind of do what they love to do and make money off of it. So,
Our first episode, our first guest, he was a firefighter while also being in the Navy back in the day. And he did all of his side gigs, side hustles to support his family while also balancing off a career. What is your, I would say, opinion on that take from family supportive perspective?
So, in your specific example, a firefighter, I think that's a great example. You work as a firefighter, you work so many days on and so many days off, and they have historically always had side hustles. I mean, this isn't a new trend for firefighters. I think it's great because they're building a career. The company is really paying for their time, the fire department. And when they're not on the clock, they're free to do whatever they want, and they have sometimes 4 days put together with 4 days off. So I think it's a great idea for them to develop a business on the side, and many of them have done that over the years. So that I have no problem with. You're being paid by the fire department for your time, and when you're at work, you are at work. But you have built in your schedule a lot of time off, and I think it's pretty wise to advance your family, bring extra income. You're building a great retirement program at the fire department, and you're building extra income for your family. I think those are great ideas.
So our last question for you today is, if you had to choose, what side would you pick? Are you pro side hustles or negative side hustles?
I think it depends on in this example we just spoke about. I think if you, as an employee of a corporation, if you are selling your time, your physical time and your physical abilities, I think you have a lot of freedom to not jeopardize your career and grow a side hustle, because while you're at work doing your job, and when you're off work, you have time to do what you want to do. I think the scary part is for people that want to be professionals in a corporation, they want to be managers, they want to be salespeople. I think it's really scary for them to start pursuing other activities, because you're not selling your time. When you're a salesperson, you have a lot of freedom, a lot of independence, and you're not selling your time. You're selling your output and to the company. And then if for you to go and I guess compromise that output with other activities that are more personal in nature, you're going to jeopardize your career. You're going to jeopardize the people that are counting on you at the corporation. So in that case, I would say I'm against it. I think for people that sell their time, that work as an hourly wage at a career, I think for them to have a second job, these are great things to do. I would highly encourage it if it doesn't hurt your family. But I think if you're going to be a professional, I think I'd be very cautious. I hope I didn't just I really divided that question into two categories.
No, yeah, that was perfect. And we're just about done, but this has been like a really eye-opening conversation. And we just wanted to thank you so much again for giving us your time and your thoughts.
Okay. Well, thank you. Hope your project goes well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We are going to go back and film our outro, but we really appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much for your opinion. This was truly an amazing eye-opening conversation, and it got us thinking a lot more and on the conversation.
All right. Well, enjoy your week. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
You too.
Okay. Yeah. Bye.
If you enjoy
All right. Well, that is it for today's episode of Side Money Stories.
If you enjoyed this one, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next